Hi, this is Debbie and welcome to Book and Bujo, where I talk about all things books, bullet journals, and stationery. Today, we're going over some spooky season book recommendations. So if you're looking for some books that are somewhat popular, but you might not have read yet, or ones you may not have heard of, or are a little more obscure, I got you covered. Let's start out with one I only have one book for because I don't read a lot of these, but books about zombies. So zombies are definitely not my favorite. They're a little too scary for me, so I try and avoid those. I have watched some zombie movies and have read some of the books, but yeah. These are all books that I actually read this year. So we're not going over any of the ones that I've read in previous years, but just ones for this year. So we'll start out with our zombie book, and that is Zombie Cherry by Shoko Konami. Mui is an unfortunate occult fanatic who guzzled down a whole bottle of cherry soup, the super strong cell revitalization liquid, without thinking. Thanks to that, now she's a zombie. This all happened when Mui's just gotten close to her crush, Tono. However, Tono can't stomach zombies. Who knows what'll happen? Okay, next up we have some thrillery horror type books that you might enjoy. And the first one is The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. This one is, some people like it, some people don't. I thought it was interesting. I felt like it could have gone a little further into it, but I still think it's a solid spooky season book. Delaney Myers Petroff is tired of being seen as fragile just because she's deaf. So when she's accepted into a prestigious program at Godboll University that trains students to slip between parallel worlds, she's excited for the chance to prove herself. But her semester gets off to a rocky start as she faces professors who won't accommodate her disability and a pretentious upperclassman fascinated by Delaney's unusual talents. Colton Price died when he was 9 years old. Quite impossibly, he woke several weeks later at the feet of a green-eyed little girl. Now, 12 years later, Delaney Myers Petroff has stumbled back into his orbit, but Colton's been ordered to keep far away from the new girl and the voices she hears calling to her from the shadows. Next up is Rolling in the Deep by Myra Grant, and this is the prequel to Into the Drowning Deep, which I also highly recommend, but I read it last year, so it's not on the list. When the Imagine Network commissioned a documentary on mermaids to be filmed from the cruise ship Atargatis, they expected what they had always received before, an assortment of eyewitness reports that proved nothing, some footage that proved even less, and the kind of ratings that only came from peddling imaginary creatures to the masses. They didn't expect actual mermaids. They certainly didn't expect those mermaids to have teeth. Next up is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, which I thought was done really well, and it was super cute but yet scary at the same time. So not quite spoopy, but not quite spooky. Somewhere in between. Something strange is happening at the Orsk Furniture Superstore in Cleveland, Ohio. Every morning, employees arrive to find broken curing bookshelves, shattered glands, water goblets, and smashed Lirapip wardrobes. Sales are down, security cameras reveal nothing, and store managers are panicking. To unravel the mystery, 3 employees volunteer to work a 9-hour dusk till dawn shift. In the dead of night, they'll patrol the empty showroom floor, investigate strange sights and sounds, and encounter horrors that defy the imagination. Next up is more of a children's or middle grade spooky book, so spoopy book, and that is The Mystery of the Tree Stump Ghost by Miss Patty. And I thought this was just adorable, super fun for younger readers. The Whisker Sisters, 3 spunky young girls go looking for their missing friend, Tim the Fox. Rumors of a ghost have them worried, until they find Tim has been rescued by a kooky-friendly human hermit. It turns out that the tree stump ghost is only a legend, but the hermit has created a home for a group of magical wood sprites, leading to a hilarious tea time and a fairy tale ending. Next up is definitely on the more thriller side, B-movie thriller side, which is the kind I like, and that is Camp Silver Oaks by Leroy Cross James. This one was definitely interesting. Could have been a little longer, but I thought it was done really well. After setting his high school on fire, young delinquent Brody Jackson is sent away to a strange prison to serve his time, Camp Silver Oaks.
An experimental rehabilitation center for young criminals to redeem themselves. There are plenty of super fun activities, a beautiful lake, and of course marshmallows by the campfire. On the surface, Camp Silver Oaks seems like a perfect place. However, Brody starts to suspect that something is very wrong with his new home and its happy campers.
Man-Made Monsters by Andrea Rogers.
Horror fans will get their thrills in this collection, from werewolves to vampires to zombies. All the time-worn horror baddies are there, but so are the predators of a distinctly American variety. The horrors of empire, of intimate partner violence, of dispossession, and so too the monsters of Rogers' imagination that draw upon long-told Cherokee stories of deer women, fantastical sea creatures, and more. Following one extended Cherokee family across the centuries, from the tribe's homelands in Georgia in the 1830s to World War I, the Vietnam War, our own present, and well into the future, each story delivers a slice of a particular time period that will leave readers longing for more.
Then The Jackal by Erin E. Adams. And I believe this was her debut book.
A young black girl goes missing in the woods outside her white Rust Belt town, but she's not the first, and she may not be the last. It's watching. It's taking. It's your turn.
Next up, let's do some spooky season short stories. So Dark is the Water and Other Weird Tales by Susan Earlum. So some of the short stories were hits for me and some were misses, but overall the book itself was really interesting and had some really good stories in there.
A gang of young women are not what they seem. A creature with teeth waits on a beach. A ceremony in a small community turns into a nightmare. The everyday spaces of cricket grounds and train stations become places where inhabitants unravel into themselves. Dark as the Water will make you question what it is to live on the edges of this and other worlds.
Next is The Case of Lady Sannox by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This was a great one.
The famed surgeon Douglas Stone flaunts his notorious affair with Lady Sannox, although his professional reputation begins to suffer. One night, a mysterious Turk asks him to attend his wife, who has cut her lip on a poisoned dagger. The Turk insists that amputation offers the only hope of recovery. Anxious to pocket the pro-offered gold and impatient to get to his mistress, Stone dismisses his professional misgivings.
And then from Edgar Allan Poe, I would highly recommend The Raven and A Telltale Heart.
The Raven is a powerfully haunting elegy to lost love. Man confronts himself and an unknown listener with his desire to murder an old man. In this classic psychological thriller, the reader will find many more questions than answers. It is a profound and, at times, ambiguous investigation of the paranoia that may lie within the depths of one man's mind.
And last of the short stories, which this one is more haunting than scary, but that is A Prisoner in a Dungeon Deep by Anne Bronte.
Orlando, for years left all alone in a cell, is unable to distinguish between a true rescue and an imagined one, and does not know what to make of either occurrence because of how long it has been since he has wished for freedom. The importance of social action is explored in this poem, along with the tenuous balance between reality in a person's mind and the reality shared by all.
Now my last recommendations are in the witchy book category, and the first one is Wayward by Amelia Hart.
I am a wayward and wild inside. 2019. Under cover of darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle wayward cottage inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. 1619. Altha is awaiting trial for the murder of a local farmer who was stamped to death by his herd. As a girl, Altha's mother taught her their magic, a kind not rooted in spellcasting, but in a deep knowledge of the natural world. But unusual women have always been deemed dangerous, and as the evidence for witchcraft is set out against Altha, she knows it will take all of her powers to maintain her freedom. 1942. As World War II rages, Violet is trapped in her family's grand crumbling estate. Straitjacketed by societal convention, she longs for the robust education her brother receives, and for her mother, long deceased, who was rumored to have gone mad before her death. The only traces Violet has of her are a locket bearing the initial W and the word wayward scratched into the baseboard of her bedroom, weaving together the stories of 3 extraordinary women across 5 centuries. Wayward is an enthralling novel of female resilience and the transformative power of the natural world.
And then we have The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner.
A spellbinding tale about 2 daring women who hunt for truth and justice in the perilous art of conjuring the dead. In 1873, at an abandoned chateau on the outskirts of Paris, a dark seance is about to take place, led by acclaimed spiritualist Vaudeline Delaire. Known worldwide for her talent in conjuring the spirits of murder victims to ascertain the identities of the people who killed them, she is highly sought after by widows and investigators alike. Leanna Wicks has come to Paris to find answers about her sister's death, but to do so, she must embrace the unknown and overcome her own logic-driven bias against the occult. When Vaudeline is beckoned to England to solve a high-profile murder, Lena accompanies her as an understudy. But as the women team up with the powerful men of the London's exclusive Seance Society to solve the mystery, they begin to suspect that they are not merely out to solve a crime, but perhaps entangle in one themselves.
And of course, any of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics would work, but I would highly recommend Willow, the Willow edition, which is by Marika Tamaki.
Now, truly alone for the first time in her life, Willow must rely on her instincts and her magic to save her from a different kind of threat than Buffy ever prepared her to face. No more Sunnydale, no more Scooby Gang, no more Willow?
And then if you want more of a feel-good, kind of more of just a fun palate cleanser witchy book, that would be Earth Spells Are Easy by Renee George.
As a 43-year-old newly divorced single mom, I know 2 things for certain. Starting over sucks, and magic isn't real. At least that's what I thought. I mean, starting over really does stink, but when it comes to magic, I have to rethink everything. I've spent the last year since my ex left me going through the motions. Get up, work, care for a grumpy teenager, cook dinner, go to bed, wash, rinse, repeat. Nothing changes. Until it does. After bidding on a box of old books at an estate auction, I'm experiencing changes, and I'm not talking about menopause. My garden gnome, Linda, has come to life. No, really. Her name is Linda, and she never shuts up. A chonky cat with a few secrets of his own has adopted me, and a gorgeous professor of the occult tells me I'm a witch. Right now, I'm not sure who's crazier, me, Linda, or the haughty professor. If this is my new reality, it's nature's cruel midlife trick. I'm learning fast that earth spells might be easy, but they aren't cheap. All magic exacts a toll, and if I don't master the elements will be the death of me. Literally.
And then lastly, one of my favorites so far this year of all the witchy books that I've read is The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. That one is a great book.
The year is 1880. 200 years after the trials in Salem, Adelaide Tom has left her life in the sideshow to open a tea shop with another young woman who feels it's finally safe enough to describe herself as a witch. A former medical student and keeper of spells, Eleanor St. Clair. Together, they cater to Manhattan's high society ladies specializing in cures, palmistry, and potions, and in guarding the secrets of their clients. All is well until one bright September afternoon when an enchanting young woman named Beatrice Dunn arrives at their door seeking employment. Beatrice soon becomes indispensable as Eleanor's apprentice, but her new life with the witches is marred by strange occurrences. She sees things no one else can see. She hears voices no one else can hear. Objects appear out of thin air as if gifts from the dead. Has she been touched by magic, or is she simply losing her mind? Eleanor wants to tread lightly and respect the magic manifest in the girl, but Adelaide sees a business opportunity. Working with Dr. Quinn Brody, a talented alienist, she submits Beatrice to a series of tests to see if she truly can talk to spirits. Amidst the witches' tug of war over what's best for her, Beatrice disappears, leaving them to wonder whether it is by choice or by force. As Adelaide and Eleanor begin the desperate search for Beatrice, they are confronted by accusations and specters from their own pasts. In a time when women were corseted, confined, and committed for merely speaking their minds, were any of them safe?
So what books are you reading for spooky season? I would love to find out. Please leave those in the comments below. And if you're not sure what to say, but you want to let me know you were here, leave a little broomstick or a wand emoji in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you wanna, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other videos from me. And until next time, keep reading.